El Salvador, the smallest nation in Central America. For decades, it held the grim title of the world's most violent country outside an active war zone. The streets, once vibrant with life, became battlegrounds. The shadow of gangs, their power unchecked, loomed large. Extortion was a fact of life, a suffocating grip on businesses and families alike. The Salvadoran people, known for their resilience, were held hostage in their own homes. In 2015, El Salvador's homicide rate reached a staggering 103 murders per 100,000 inhabitants. Young men, often teenagers, were both victims and perpetrators in this brutal cycle of violence. Mothers wept for their sons, their cries echoing through the empty streets. But even in the darkest of times, a glimmer of hope remained. Many Salvadorans yearned for peace, for a return to the tranquility they once knew. In 2019, a new chapter began in El Salvador's story. Nayib Bukele, a young and charismatic leader, assumed the presidency. He promised a break from the past, a future free from the shackles of gang violence. His approach was bold, some would say unorthodox. He declared a war on the gangs, deploying the military to assist the police in high-crime areas. He introduced a state of emergency, limiting certain constitutional rights, a move that drew criticism, but was met with overwhelming support from a population desperate for security. Bukele's strategy went beyond mere enforcement, addressing root causes, poverty, lack of opportunity, and social exclusion. His government invested heavily in social programs, creating jobs, improving education, and providing opportunities for young people. This two-pronged approach began to yield results, with homicide rates plummeting and neighborhoods seeing a resurgence of community life. The true measure of El Salvador's transformation is best reflected in the lives of its people. Maria, a mother of two from Soyapango, can now walk her children to school without fear. For years, she lived under the tyranny of extortion, forced to pay a war tax to the gangs just to operate her small grocery store. Today, she no longer lives in fear, her business thriving in a newly safe environment. Carlos, a former gang member, embodies the power of redemption. Under the government's rehabilitation program, he was given a second chance. He learned a trade, found a job, and now works as a carpenter, contributing to the rebuilding of his community. The resurgence of community life is palpable. Parks, once deserted, are now filled with children playing, their laughter echoing through the streets. Businesses are reopening, their doors no longer barred by fear, but open for business. These stories, replicated across El Salvador, paint a picture of a nation reborn. El Salvador's remarkable turnaround has not gone unnoticed on the world stage. What was once a cautionary tale is now being hailed as a model for other countries grappling with similar challenges. The international community, initially skeptical of Bukele's hardline approach, is now taking note of the tangible results. Delegations from neighboring countries are flocking to El Salvador to study its methods. They are eager to learn from its successes, to understand how a nation so deeply affected by violence managed to turn the tide. El Salvador, once a recipient of aid and pity, is now a source of inspiration and guidance. Policymakers and security experts from around the world are closely watching the El Salvador model. The country's experience serves as a compelling case study in crime reduction and social transformation. El Salvador's dramatic turnaround has been nothing short of remarkable. The question now is, can this newfound peace last? The sustainability of these gains hinges on several factors. Addressing the root causes of violence, such as poverty and lack of opportunity, is crucial. Investing in education, job creation, and social programs will be essential to prevent young people from falling prey to gangs. Strengthening the justice system is another key challenge. El Salvador needs a fair and efficient judicial system that can effectively prosecute criminals while upholding due process. Building public trust in the justice system is vital to breaking the cycle of impunity that has plagued the country for so long. El Salvador's story is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. It is a story of a nation that dared to hope, that refused to surrender to fear. The journey is far from over, but the progress made is undeniable. The streets, once patrolled by gangs, are now filled with children playing. Markets bustle with activity, and families gather without fear. El Salvador is reclaiming its narrative. replacing the grim headlines of the past with a message of hope and transformation. The world is watching El Salvador's experiment with a mix of hope and caution. If it succeeds in building a lasting peace, it will offer a beacon of hope for other nations struggling with violence.